Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Breaking news right now in La Mirada. You are looking at live pictures from Air 7 of a police pursuit involving LA County Sheriff's deputies. This pursuit, we believe, began in Norwalk, and we understand that there are about 4 to 5 people in this black vehicle that you're looking at. You see the helicopter over it right now. We believe that is a sheriff helicopter, and this vehicle has been going 40 to 45 miles an hour through side streets. We understand, as we mentioned, it might have started in Norwalk. They went on the freeway. Right now it looks like he's on the 5 freeway, back on the 5 freeway. He was on the 5 freeway earlier. He's northbound. And as we mentioned, he was on the 5 freeway earlier, then went off side streets. He was circling one particular area, westbound Rosecrans near Marquardt. And right now, as we mentioned again, he's back on the 5 northbound freeway. Philip?
To the back right wheel, which that might have happened at Carmenita. We were talking about the possibility they actually lost a wheel there. I don't know that they lost the wheel, but if you look at it, doesn't look like there's any rubber there, and that's going to make this vehicle incredibly unstable. And it's a shock to me that that car is traveling at about 50 miles an hour, even without that rear wheel. Now, it would be a big difference if it was one of the front wheels. Then you're not able to steer at all. But that could be a contributing factor as to why these folks have stayed off the freeway for the most part and in the neighborhoods, because they can't really go that fast. But again, that's going to be a factor in this. Probably would be easier to do a pit maneuver if they can get closer to the person, because then there's going to be a significant decrease in the amount of traction on that backside.
Yeah, and we are still trying to figure out why authorities are pursuing this vehicle. And again, 4 to 5 people inside this black vehicle evading sheriff's deputies. Not sure how long this has been going, maybe half an hour, maybe less. But as Philip mentioned, you see there is definite damage to that rear wheel. And they're going, 50, 60 miles an hour here.
Now you're going to see what kind of control the vehicle has as they try to take this exit. Slowing down a little bit, and again, you're now talking about the Norwalk area, Norwalk Downey, but clearly this person is not able to drive without any problems. There are certainly some problems caused by that rear wheel with damage. But yeah, we've at least got one report of 5 people in the vehicle. Initial calls were about 4 people on board, so we're not exactly positive how many people are on or in that vehicle. But we do have at least 4 to 5, but we have, slowed things down significantly after they found that damage there. And now on the freeway, that's going to create other kind of issues when, especially in the COVID era, when you don't have a lot of traffic and you have people traveling at a higher rate of speed, they're going to be coming up on somebody going 33 miles an hour. The question is going to be, will sheriff's deputies, CHP officers be able to keep people back? And it looks like they are. So that's going to start causing some sort of traffic buildup behind this accident on the northbound side of the 5 freeway. So be aware, if you know someone or you have intentions of traveling northbound on the 5 freeway going through the Downey area, you're going to run across this if they don't get off of the freeway and allow for traffic to begin flowing through there. You can see it's not affecting the southbound side, but there is nothing on the northbound side in the way of trying to get around this, and this person is just going slower and slower. And I just have to guess that it's at least in part due to that rear wheel, which, by the way, can heat up to the point where it can cause possibly a fire. It could cause stress on that axle in the back. There have been times where the axle will break, and then, of course, the vehicle is just absolutely incapable of continuing to drive. So right now, they've slowed it down, so it's not a real risk to anybody in front of them. This chase isn't going to catch up with anybody, but certainly we're wondering how long CHP will allow this to keep going. And right now it does seem as if they're just simply following along. And as you pointed out, Giovanna, the helicopter just very easily monitoring this chase from above as well as all of the officers behind.
Yeah, and the speeds on our sky map keep fluctuating. You mentioned that he was slowing down significantly, down to 20 miles an hour at one point, and then sped up a little bit more. And it is likely that he is doing that because of that damage to the rear wheel. But it's just curious. Perhaps they're trying to get a hold of them. They maybe know this person and they're trying to contact them. Who knows? But it is curious how long they think that they can go, considering they've got that damage to the rear wheel. And you mentioned the traffic being light today. That is also a positive because there are fewer people on the roads, so fewer risk of an accident.
Well, there it just dropped some of the vehicle. Look at that. See, now that's what I was talking about. There, you can't just drive a vehicle without rubber on the wheel. It's going to eventually start to disintegrate through heat, through stress that's unnatural. Now, initially, these guys were driving around in the same neighborhood, Rosecrans, Marquardt, but now they've actually left that neighborhood. They're all the way up into Whittier now and starting to catch up to other traffic in front of them. But notice how officers are going to slow down people who are trying to get onto the freeway. And so that's going to limit the exposure of others to this chase and what potentially might happen. You mentioned a moment ago, Giovanna, that we still don't know exactly why they're after this person, but take a look at this. They're about to pit this person because they just have no control of the vehicle.
There it is.
So there's the pit. They've stopped traffic. We'll see if this person will actually stop and what's going to happen with the people inside the vehicle. Now, that was an amazing pit maneuver, and that back wheel looks to have actually maybe even broken.
Yeah.
If you see it there, it's flat on one side from the monitor I'm looking at.
Yeah, and they're not moving. We have Bruce Thomas on the phone, a law enforcement expert. Bruce, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Bruce, can you walk us through what is happening here? I mean, we've seen the pit maneuver, but what's on the mind of these officers on the ground there?
Well, after attempting the pit maneuver and actually hitting the vehicle, obviously the vehicle now we're watching has sustained substantial damage. What's going on in the officer's mind is you have multiple suspects in this vehicle. I've heard upwards of 5. So that's going to create some issues during the terminus, the end of the pursuit, when they pull them out of the vehicle.
And what are they? Obviously, they're concerned that perhaps these people inside the vehicle could be armed. We have no indication of that at this point, but that is a concern for them. How are they going to walk these guys, or whoever they are, out of the vehicle?
Yeah, you always will assume that the people are considered armed and dangerous until you know otherwise, meaning basically you've pulled them out, you've patted them down, and you have found no weapons. But yeah, it does cause an issue, and everything has to be done by the numbers.
The good news, what we're seeing here, is that they are cooperating.
I sure can.
Bruce, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
This looks promising in the fact that they are cooperating. At least one of them is, yes.
Yeah. The nice thing is that the suspects in the vehicle will cooperate. They'll come out of the vehicle one at a time as called out by the officers. They'll walk backwards. In this case, it's sheriffs, so they'll walk back to the sound of the officers' voices. They'll be taken into custody, patted down, handed off to additional officers, and then they'll do it one at a time.
Bruce, I'm not sure if you can hear me. I found it interesting. They made them throw the car keys out first. Is that to make sure that these guys are actually complying and not taken off again?
Yeah, the other issue is, too, that, when they ask them to throw the car keys out of the window, that's just so that they're not going to get back in the car, they're not going to start the car up, and they're not going to drive away, which would just continue this facade for possibly hours or, the rest of the morning.
Well, certainly it looks like it's not all male suspects. It does. We have at least, this is a young woman, it appears. And
yes, I am. Yeah, I mean, they're calling the suspects out one at a time. As you can see, they have their hands up. They're walking back to the sound of the officer's voice. In this case, the officers will approach. they'll provide cover for the other officers who will take them into custody and actually handcuff them.
Yeah. And as we're watching all of this, again, we still do not know why the sheriff's department was pursuing this vehicle.
Yeah, and people may say, well, God, there's a lot of sheriff's cars there. Well, you have multiple suspects, so in this case, you're going to tie up maybe one or two, in this case, sheriff's deputies, to control each one. So you need multiple vehicles, and it sounds like this vehicle may be wanted for some sort of felony, maybe possibly burglary or something along the felony line.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and here we have the third suspect now exiting the vehicle, also appears to be a female. This does appear to be ending peacefully, which is, we're always happy to see that. And it looks now like there could be two more suspects in the vehicle, 1 to 2 more suspects. Again, all of this happening on the 5 freeway northbound lanes near the Downey-Norwalk area. And here now we have the 4th suspect. Another female. And Bruce, are you still with us?
Yeah, I am. One of the other things too, Giovanna, is you see there are some sheriff's deputies that are in plain clothes or possibly detective uniforms. So it seems like they may have been tracking or following this vehicle, and subsequently they're there for further investigation also.
So are you saying that they might have been following the vehicle immediately after the alleged burglary or felony that they committed, allegedly?
Yeah, it seems like there were some wants on this vehicle for possibly some burglary activity. And so the detectives there in plain clothes, if Sky 7 pulls out a little bit, you'll see that they're on the left side of the screen. And so they're there for this investigation. You know, they typically would not be involved in a pursuit like this. Mm-hmm. So there is some additional information which we're just not privy to at this time.
Okay. So this is now the, if I'm counting right, the 5th suspect, correct?
It appears so, either 4th or 5th, at which point once the vehicle is cleared, meaning the suspects are out, then they'll make a tactical approach to the vehicle, clear the vehicle. Yes, I am. It looks like maybe the 4th or 5th suspect has come out of the vehicle. At this point, once they take them or her into custody, in this case, they'll tactically approach to the vehicle, clear the vehicle, and then hopefully get the freeway open within a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah, these are the northbound lanes of the 5 freeway. Traffic completely stopped. Never a good thing in Los Angeles, even though traffic is light due to COVID restrictions. But you see, it looks like both sides of the 5 freeway there are now shut down. And again, this happening in the Norwalk, Downey area, perhaps closer to Whittier. And what's happening here, Bruce? Bruce, if you're still with us, what are they doing here?
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be suspect number 5 coming out of the vehicle. I believe at this point it will appear the vehicle is clear, but the sheriff's deputies will tactically approach the vehicle and search it.
And this could take how long, this whole process, before they're able to clear? Well, they have to wait for, they have to remove the vehicle and before they're able to reopen the freeways. Assuming they're looking for evidence here and any items that may have been stolen?
Yeah, having the plainclothes detectives there, they'll supervise how they want this vehicle moved, how they want the vehicle impounded, because there may be some evidentiary value inside the vehicle, or the vehicle itself may have some evidentiary value.
Okay, and now we have Air 7 HD panning onto the 5 freeway. You can see the backup on the northbound lanes of the freeway is significant here.